Hello! I've not made a video in like 4 days. I missed all of my upload days today besides this week, except for Monday. There's a reason for that. So I'm very busy. I'm not making any money off of this, so I'm kind of doing it pro bono as a hobby. I tried to pick up and kind of push myself to do a whole lot, and I did, pretty consistently for 2-3 weeks. But I'm working 50 hours a week outside of this. Uploads? Already going back on my word. Not Monday through Friday. That will just absolutely kill me, and I would rather be able to take a tiny bit more time to actually edit my videos and make them kind of fun and hip and cool and proper and, basically better in every sense of the word. Dude, I forgot exactly what the fuck I was going to say anymore. My voice needs to not fucking die. Holy fuck. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? Hey, Bear, what's up? So now, videos are going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with the podcast on Saturday. Episode 2 came out today as I'm recording this. It would have been the 19th of May if you're watching this sometime later. Dude, fucking say words! It's going to be linked in the description below. That's the channel update. I apologize that I've, to all 30 of you who might maybe tune in for being absent this last week.
Anyways.
Personally, for me, I come from an angle that creative projects kind of need passion in order to be good. That kind of feels like it's obvious and it goes without saying, or it should be obvious and go without saying. But we live in a world where video games and entertainment and movies and music is highly corporatized.
We live in a society.
And it's far too common and far too obvious when we see things that are just kind of shoved out, made, manufactured to be a cookie cutter, factory line element of any kind in entertainment, film, video games, movies. I said film twice. Video games, movies, and music.
Oh, come on, stop pissing it off! How the hell you gonna tell me what not to shoot in here? Look at this shit!
Passion is a kind of necessity. Somebody who brings passion to the table is going to make something better, even if they have, less tools, less resources, less people, less budget, smaller budget, whatever. Somebody who has a passion and a strong vision, no matter what their limitations are, will always make something better than the massive $300 million movie that's got all the fucking money in the world, almost a bottomless pit, but is being made to hit certain check marks and, shit like that. Why this matters is because today we will be talking about a recent release coming out of Xbox Game Studios and their newly acquired Bethesda and, along that olive branch, Arcane Studios, specifically Arcane, Texas. After a few failures like Gears 5 and Halo Infinite, which weren't bad, they're not bad games, they're just mediocre and disappointing, and they're not as good as they should be, but they aren't horrible by any means. But after all of Xbox's more recent kind of big projects that don't really go anywhere, and new IPs or old IPs coming back in bigger and broader fashion, it's kind of been rubbing me odd that Redfall, a new IP from Arcane, bombed as hard as it did. I'm a little late to the party now. It's been, 1 or 2 weeks, my proverbial watch says, since the game came out. But it just sort of sucks that it came out in the state that it did for a first party. What's supposed to be it should be a showcase of how strong and how good the Xbox Series X is, or the Series S, or whatever the fuck those stupid, poorly named consoles are. They should be able to show their power and kind of the might and why you would want to buy an Xbox should be on full display in Redfall. And there's none of that. And I mean, maybe my hopes shouldn't have been up. I remember seeing the CG trailer for Redfall about a year or two ago and just thinking, oh, it looks like Left 4 Dead, but cringy vampires. which everything I've seen, I haven't played it myself. I'll say that for the obvious. I haven't played it myself. I've only seen the shit show going on online, and everything I've seen from it has made me not want to play it, which I didn't want to begin with, but now I definitely do not. It's kind of like Anthem. That was a game that I was like, kind of passively, it looks kind of okay, we'll see how it comes out, and then it came out horribly, and I was like, you know what? I'm glad I kept my distance. Although then again, we're not talking about Arcane in full, we're talking about Arcane Austin, who did Wolfenstein Youngblood, was their last big project, as far as I remember reading, which doesn't surprise me as much. But they also made Prey. So I don't know if they get an excuse or not, because you can't make Prey, and then make Youngblood, and then make Redfall. Like, how many balls did you fucking drop in order to miss the court that badly? I think Redfall is just another example as why, for an Xbox player, which I have been since the Xbox 360, I started with the 360, I had an Xbox One, I had a One S, I now have a Series S, I still play Xbox all the fucking time, but it's disappointing when games like Redfall come out. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. I'm really bad at speaking. If you can't figure that out by now, you're fucking done. Redfall to me is a prime example of why I get disappointed as somebody who likes Xbox and would be considered an Xbox fan. I really like Gears of War. I kind of like Halo. Mostly Gears of War. That's the main thing that's kept me on Xbox for so long. Plus all my friends play on Xbox, etc., 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 etc. You know why. There's only really 3 reasons you would ever play on Xbox. Gears of War, because, you know, Halo and Forza can go fuck themselves. You have friends that play on Xbox. Obviously, if all of your friends you've ever known all have one console, you're going to be there too. You're not just going to go and fucking leave. Unless you don't care about your friends, in which case, go all for it. Or Game Pass. I will give Xbox that Game Pass is a fucking value. And compared to PlayStation's poor excuse for PS Plus, whatever, I haven't used it a whole lot, but compared to Xbox, like, it's just as expensive for the middle tier of PS Plus, and has almost half or a third of the content you would get out of Game Pass, which works on both Xbox and PC for the same price. That being said, if I was on PlayStation, I have no reason to go to Xbox, unless, you know, I really wanted to play with friends that I had on the Xbox, or if I really, really wanted to try out Xbox. If I wanted to try out Xbox, or Gears, or Halo, or a game like Redfall that's coming out, and it's like, oh, maybe I want to give it a whirl, but these games all suck. Of course, Halo was really good in the past. Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach. Obviously, that doesn't really need to be said. Gears of War even was a good game. Gears of War 1, I think, kind of threw third-person shooters through a loop at the time, and Gears of War 2, obviously, and Gears 3 were phenomenal fucking games. But Gears 3 came out over a decade ago. Now, you compare this to something like all of PlayStation's games, which are still hitting fucking hard to this day. I bought my PS5 exclusively to play God of War and God of War Ragnarok. And those 2 games alone were well worth the fucking purchase. But since then, since I've had a PS5, I'm like, fuck it, I might as well try out these other games. And I've played Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Last of Us, a few others. They're not coming to mind right now. Games like Shadow of the Colossus, obviously, that one's a bit older. You know it's good. You know these games are good. And it just kind of makes me angry to see an interview with Phil Spencer where he says this.
Out there, I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way.
And then to sit here and be like, what do you mean? Because personally, as me, the consumer, one of the many consumers, when I'm looking between Xbox and PlayStation, if I was just starting fresh, like if I didn't already have that history with Xbox that kind of had led me into Xbox for so long at this point, I would be on PlayStation. Now, there are a few things I like more about the Xbox. I think it's more, it's just more people-friendly, in my personal opinion. Like, my 50-year-old dad can use the Xbox with little to no help. He only calls me about once every fiscal quarter if he needs help, which I don't think would happen if he had a PS5. I think the Xbox has better remotes and probably better hardware from things that I've heard and seen. I'm no fucking tech whiz, but you can't really tell because Xbox doesn't have games worth playing or that push that hardware to its limits. I would think of a game like Gears of War 1 in 2006. It literally pushed the Xbox 360 to its limit, and if I'm remembering right, I will add this in, but I'm pretty sure they had to upgrade the 360 right before it came out just to run Gears 1, which is fucking insane, and I feel like that's not a thing that we see happen anymore. We see games that are gorgeous and beautiful and fucking knock the roof off. But these games don't really deliver. They don't really shoot for the moon like they used to. They're not pushing boundaries or anything. And when I see someone like Phil fucking Spencer, the head of Xbox, say, yeah, if we made gooder games, if we made better games, it wouldn't cause people to buy an Xbox. Dude, I bought my PS5 because they have good games. That's the whole reason I bought it. And that console was twice as expensive as my Xbox. You're telling me people aren't going to buy the PS5 for the good games? Or Xbox, if they had good games? I'd tell you, if Xbox was able to pull a hat trick out their ass and bring their series like Gears and Halo back up to the heights they used to be, like with what PlayStation has done with God of War, the Xbox would sell. That's just how that works. People come to consoles to play video games. That's the whole fucking purpose for having a Xbox console, or any console for that matter. Nobody who buys a console is buying it for the accessibility to also use it as a DVD player. Maybe some fucking losers that bought into the idea. You know who you are. If you're watching this, you know who you are. But otherwise, you're buying a console to play fucking video games. Especially now we live in an age where every TV is a smart TV, and there's all these other little gadgets and bibs and bobs you can get to kind of fill that void anyways. If you're buying a console, specifically a console, especially over like PC, because like with a computer, a PC, there's many things you can do with it other than video games. A PC, you can edit, you can 3D model, you can music, you can do literally fucking anything. You can watch porn on your PC, which you can do on Xbox too, but personally not for me. But if you're buying an Xbox or a PlayStation, you are buying that almost exclusively to play video games, and at that extent, play video games that are specific and exclusive to that console. Now we're in an age of digital games. Xbox Game Pass is kind of holding the boat right now, and their kind of model of just buy everyone out and put their games on Game Pass is working, but that catalog only goes so far. For some people it could last forever, but for people who work 60, 70, 80 hours a week and have families and maybe only play 2 to 4 to 6 hours a week, there's no reason to spend $180 a year or, $60 a year, $120 a year just to play, what is that, 6 times 50? 300 something hours out of the whole year on games that you may or may not like. It's cool, but video games just aren't like Netflix or anything. You can't sit down and finish a game in 2 hours. Some games you can, but that's not the majority. We know that. You know that. Don't fucking say that shit, because I know you're going to, but you're wrong. You're just fucking wrong.
Oh, that's why.
Game Pass is great if you play a lot of video games. But at the same time, if you play that many video games and you have all that time, you probably are willing to put some money into the console or the game or the PC, whatever you have. You've probably spent hundreds of dollars on skins in Siege or Apex. I know you have. Don't lie to me and tell me you didn't, because I know you have, and you know you have. I just find it odd that, for a console, the whole purpose of buying it basically is to play the exclusive games that come to it, or come with it. And for somebody who's supposed to be in charge and making the big decisions that keep this thing alive, to say that the games don't matter at all is kind of fucking brain dead. It's almost like Overwatch 2 removing the entire point of Overwatch 2.
For example, it's like playing Halo. Think about playing Halo, and it's like you were going to get the entire Halo 2 game, but now you're taking all of that away, and you're saying the only thing you're gonna get is multiplayer and like some sort of like fucking I'm trying to think, like one mode of Forge.
It blows my mind that, like, it's such a deaf answer. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, are you paying attention to the business and the company you are a part of? Because it doesn't seem like you are. And that is just really concerning. Because if you're not, what are we doing here? I just find it strange that Xbox has jumped to this quantity over quality standard. And, like, with Game Pass, like I've been talking about, it has its value. It has reasons to buy into it, and maybe if you only use it for a few months out of the year or whatever, when you have time off and shit like that, for generally most people, it's not that bad. And the Xboxes are much cheaper. That's true. You can get an Xbox Series Series X, Series S. Those names are so fucking stupid. Pick a different console name. Why did you keep calling it the same stupid shit? Come up with a better name. Xbox 720 would have been better. And Xbox is cheaper, yes. Game Pass is really good, yes. But I feel like that's only going to last so long. Like, Xbox seemed to justify to myself why I even use my Xbox anymore. Because all of the games that are on it that I play now are games that I can have on the PS5. All of the games that I play regularly are, cross-console games. There's no exclusives that are keeping me to Xbox other than the fact that my friends play on there. And even then, most of those games are cross-platform. I could just play on my PlayStation still, and still keep playing with my friends. It doesn't make any sense why I would not do that. The only reason I still have my Xbox is I play Gears of War a lot. And even then, I only really play it whenever I get really, really bored, and not even as like a legitimate thing. If you had something as strong as PlayStation catalog with Game Pass's kind of reliability and affordability, I think that'd be awesome. But right now, when there's nothing really speaking to someone on Game Pass, like myself, there's no reason to go with Xbox. When you can play on the PS5 and, like, yeah, maybe you're buying the games wholesale and not playing them on Game Pass or something like that. But God of War Ragnarok, Ghost of Tsushima, games like that, I got a fucking hell of a time out of.
Damn, I love how powerful that combo is. Dude, look how quickly he died and he barely got one hit in on me.
I'm currently working on my third playthrough of God of War Ragnarok. You can see it streamed at twitch.tv/BusterMcTunder, and I'm still having fun with it. Versus a game like Gears 5, I fucking love Gears of War. I got to re-up 20 in Gears 5, and I have a hard time loading it up unless I'm just playing it with friends, ironically. And this takes me back to passion. I think passion and somebody who has a strong drive to make something good makes a whole of a difference. You can see examples of this, I believe, in shit like Henry Cavill on The Witcher show. The Witcher show is pretty dog shit. That's pretty well known at this point. Season 2 was pretty trash, and it looks like Season 3 is going to follow suit. But Geralt is really fun to watch in that show because Henry Cavill knows Geralt, loves Geralt, and does a damn good job as Geralt. But passion makes a hell of a difference. It's really a strange experience to watch developers. I like seeing the behind the scenes stuff because I have an interest in how they make games, how they produce it, how they put it together, how it comes together. This collaborative effort between hundreds of people and thousands of hours of work go into these things. It's really weird to watch an interview with someone like Cory Barlog, who was the director on God of War and the narrative lead on God of War Ragnarok, talk his fucking heart out about how much he relates to the story of Kratos and Atreus and everything like that. And then to see interviews with Rod Ferguson, who's been with Gears of War since the very beginning, and at all of his interviews or all the times he spends on stage with Gears 5 at the 2019 E3, it kind of feels like he's checked out. Like he's not there for it. Like it's just sort of like he is here, they're making the game is good enough, it's working, it's solid, it's just, this weird amalgamation of a bunch of different people putting themselves into it, but it's not really cohesive. It doesn't feel like one solid entity, because the multiplayer is doing this thing, the campaign's doing this thing, and Horde is doing, something completely fucking different. That man does not have life in his eyes. And it starts to make sense why he might up and leave and leave to join the fucking Diablo team. Even after, what was it? It was less than a year, I believe, after Gears 5 came out that he left. The whole thing entirely just to go join another team. That's not somebody who had their fucking heart in the game to make this game the best it could be. That's not how that works. At least I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm assuming too much. But personally, I've only ever quit a job when I didn't like working at the job I was at to begin with. So Redfall, as a game that came out as badly, as poorly as it did, I think it's only really bugging me, and I take it personally as somebody who's played Xbox for so long and has enjoyed Xbox for so long, because why am I playing Xbox? They don't have the games. Games are the reason I'm playing on a console. Games are the reason I bought a console to play. I like gaming. Fuck you. I like gaming. It's a fun hobby. It's my favorite hobby. I spend a lot of time with it. So I'm going to play games that I have the most fun with. That's why I have a hard time playing games like Destiny or Apex for a long time, because they just demand all of your attention and you don't get a whole lot out of it, especially when they go through down periods. And as much as I love kind of the Xbox console and all of the history and the memories I have with it, and I love games like the whole Gears of War series, even the bad ones, if somebody came up to me and asked me, like one of my friends or like a family member came up to me and asked me, it was like, hey, you play a lot of video games, would you recommend the Xbox or the PlayStation? I would sit there and I'd probably say, if anything, if you're not going to get a PC, yeah, obviously PC better, I don't give a fuck, I play consoles. But between the two, I think the Gay Station is just the better pick, because you're getting more bang for your buck. I would much rather, and have enjoyed, spending like $200 in the collector's edition for God of War Ragnarok Hammer, because it's just such a good game, versus, whatever the fuck Xbox has going on, which is basically nothing.
Anyways.
Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to stop ranting now. Have fun, stay cool, and be awesome. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.
Hey, Nosebleed, just where do you think you are? This is Atom Cat territory.
Go cough up a hairball.
Is that a good outro? Ben told me my outro was gay. Fuck Ben. Fuck Ben, man. Fuck Ben. Fuck Ben and everything he's ever done. Fuck Ben.